Learning to write clearly can be a powerful life skill. And not just that, learning to write clearly can also help you to become a better leader. Sounds hard to believe? Hello and welcome to another edition of Chai with Pi, our weekly series of videos where we try and share simple lessons on what it takes for each of us to become as good as we can be. One of the cooler things I've done this year was I signed up for a course on clear writing. I had lots of fun, made some terrific friends, learned some simple lessons, and I thought it might be a good idea for me to share with you lessons I learned on how to write clearly. Here's the first one. Remember, who are you optimizing for? I think it's an interesting one to remember that you are eventually writing to make something clear to a reader. You're not optimizing to impress somebody. You're not trying to write something to show everyone how good you are, but you're writing because there's a reader out there who needs to understand and appreciate what you are saying. So good idea to remember that good writing optimizes for the reader. Second, less is more. Keep it simple. We all can make this mistake of trying to use too many words, too many adjectives, too many adverbs to make flowery language and make it look like, wow, this will be so cool when I say it. Bad idea. Terrific writing is writing which kind of gets rid of all the unnecessary stuff and brings it down to the absolutely essential. Less is more. Keep it simple. Third, and I think it's a good analogy to remember, which is good writing is the window and not the window pane. So what happens really here is you don't want writing that attracts attention to itself, to the window pane, but rather allows you to kind of enjoy the view on the other side. You don't want to draw attention to yourself. It's not about people saying, wow, I love that writing, as much as, hey, that's a terrific point that's being made. That's such a terrific idea that's being expressed. So remember, it's the window, not the window pane. Fourth lesson, show, don't tell. Good writing makes it come alive. It paints vivid pictures. It's about showing what's happening rather than telling that it was. And so good writing is not trying to describe what's going on as much as making you feel that you're there. It almost paints an image in your mind's eye and lets you almost be there where the action is. Number 5, and a good lesson to remember, is good writers are good readers. Okay? So you will find typically that if you want to write well, you must also read other people, read on a variety of subjects. Try and understand what it feels like to be a reader, because that will help you in turn to become a good writer. And there was a 6th lesson that I actually learned out of that course, and which is this, that try and ask yourself, how does it sound? Now sometimes when you're writing, you don't recognize that it might look good on paper, but when people are reading, they're actually saying it out loud to themselves. How does that sound? And therefore trying to ensure that you not only think of it from a written word perspective, but also from a how does it sound perspective. I think all of this can help you to become a better writer. But I did say at the start of this that learning to write well is not just about learning a good life skill, it's also about learning to become a better leader. And as I went through that course and saw those lessons, I thought, hey, these are lessons that are so relevant to us, even from a leadership standpoint. So let's take the first one. Remember, who are you optimizing for? You are optimizing for your team. As a leader, you're optimizing for that colleague. Your job as a leader is to help that colleague become as good as she can be. Your job is to make sure every team member feels that their best potential is being realized with this leader. You're not optimizing for the boss. You're not optimizing for the business magazines to say what a good leader you are. You're optimizing for your teammates, for those people who actually make you the leader you are. Lesson number 2, less is more. Keep it simple. Cut out the jargon. Don't try and create a list of priorities which is longer than the 3 pages that you might have written in your college examination. That's not the intent. Your idea is to make your messaging simple, is to keep your style simple, and don't try and clutter it. Don't try and think that, oh, I will impress my team if I can actually make all of this happen. Keep it simple. Remember, less is more. Third one, the analogy of the window and the window pane holds true for leaders too. You don't want to be recognized as what a good leader he was or what a good leader she was. It's not about featuring on the cover of a magazine for being, 50 under 50 or whatever else it might be, the new list of great leaders. Your job as a leader is to make a great impact. Your job as a leader is to be recognized for the great teams you've built and the impact you've had. Fourth, show, don't tell. Great advice for writers, great advice for leaders. Leadership is not about what you say, it's about what you do. So show, don't tell. Fifth one, just as good writers are good readers, good leaders make good team members. Good leaders are good followers. So make sure that when it's your turn to be a part of a team, to look up to another leader, make sure you're doing a good job of being that team member. And the last one, remember, it's important to consider how does it sound. I think good leaders recognize that it's not just about saying the right thing. It's not about ensuring that their communication hits all the right notes. It's also about putting yourself in the shoes of your team member to try and understand, hey, how does this sound? To try and understand, I might be doing the right thing as a leader, but how do they perceive me? How are they seeing what I do? So here we are then, great lessons on how to write clearly, lessons which are equally relevant on how to become a better leader. And if you're wondering, which is this writing course that I went to, it's a course run by a friend called Amit Verma. Well, he's become a friend now, but he's actually a terrific podcaster, best known for his weekly podcast called The Seen and the Unseen. And if you would like to also learn to write clearly, I can't recommend Amit and his course strongly enough. That's all in this week's edition of Chai with Pi. Until next time, stay safe.